Jupiter in Cancer is a placement that is all about nurturing all that you care about. In a way, you're very, very devoted to that you're willing to believe in it and nurture it every single day. You're able to have power that is caring and kind. You create emotionally safe and secure environments for those that you love and care about, that are protective environments, and you genuinely care with all your heart in a way where you are also not keeping yourself small, and you're also following and trusting your gut, and you are nurturing as opposed to overly protecting. These are all the things and more that I'm going to be discussing in this video on Jupiter in Cancer and the natal birth chart. I'm Ever Curdy, and welcome to the Cosmic Sky Podcast, where I discuss astrology and more. And this is an astrology video. This is an astrology podcast episode where I go really, really in depth into specific placements and transits and all those things that I do on this podcast, and also other topics that I feel inspired to share. It could be a historical figure. It could be, like I want to do videos on spiritual topics, self-awareness, authenticity, all those things like that. I want to do videos on that. All those things, whatever I feel inspired to. Every day you can rely on a new video to be updated and dropped to this podcast. Uploaded to my YouTube channel, dropped on Spotify, it all is relative. So I'm so glad that you're here. I hope that you enjoy, what I have to give you in these videos and what I have to say. So, delving into Jupiter in Cancer in the birth chart. The very, very first thing is, you could say that they're kind of not typical, but they do what you don't expect them to do. But I don't think this is really true. Now let's talk about the medical part of this. And I'm going to get into some meaning of this. Cancer in astrology rules over, the crab, which is the symbol for, it's very, very protective. It retreats into its shell. It's very, very vulnerable against the waves. The waves coming at it and attacking it, like it's so sensitive to, outside forces. And also, the crab wants to create something very, very safe and serene, and keeping itself very, very small and cozy. And so Cancer rules the breast. Or the breast, depending upon which, how you use it. Depending upon however many individuals that you're talking about. So, the breast is, very much about, that part of us that is very focused on food and nurturing it. And it is about taking all of the nouns and the items in your pantry and preparing something nurturing to take care of the breast, to take care of the issues that go on with the breast, and to really, really put the focus on that really, really critically and easily to what is truly going on with all that it has in store for it. Cancer rules the breast in a way where it rules the digestive system. And from your breast, breastfeeding, giving milk to babies, and pregnancy and children, nurturing children, caring for children. Children come from your breast, children come from the woman's stomach. And so children are beings that we nurture, that we care for very, very well and very, very clearly, with a lot of care and a lot of consideration, a lot of, all the things I'm going to get into. They grow through protecting others. Like cancer wants to keep everybody safe, everybody feeling secure emotionally. They don't want them to get hurt. They don't want them to get offended. They don't want them to get, mistreated or injured or whatever. With Cancerian energy, it's a mothering energy. It's fiercely loving. It has ferocious compassion, where the mother is not going to let anything bad happen to her children. She is going to be 100% devoted and committed to, to care for her children. And it's this real, this emotional, instinctual desire to care and protect. There's a focus here on nurturing someone or something. And this just means helping them to become the best, most developed, most, mature, growth, or, to help them grow, to care for, to protect, to love them. And we have to talk about nature versus nurture. Nature versus nurture shouldn't be, I'm conditioning you out of following what your soul is calling you to follow in this life. I am conditioning you in a way where you can get out of the low egoic ways of being, and I'm nurturing you to trust your intuition, to trust your instincts, to do what feels right, what is loving, what is kind, what is from a soul-centered place. That's what our conditioning, conditioning doesn't have to be a bad thing. We can have conditioning, where we condition others into good things, into following, for good reasons, for good causes. Conditioning doesn't have to be, all, negative, but we must be very, very discerning about, about our conditioning and the kinds of conditions that we place upon others. We must be very, very mindful about that. But nurturing someone or something, like a child, relationship, family. And so there is this need for care here. This need for care, this need for emotional support. This very, very strong need here for supporting and caring for you on an emotional level. This is what it can, really come down to here with this. So, supporting others on an emotional level, being there emotionally, nurturing emotions, supporting each other emotionally, all that kind of thing. Kind of repeated myself there. But one of the lessons of Cancerian energy is the lesson of emotional intelligence, being able to be self-aware of your emotions, being able to manage and regulate these emotions in a way where you're knowledgeable, like, okay, I have this feeling, it causes me to be this kind of way, it causes me to have this kind of, personality, and this kind of, mood to me, and I feel this way, and I express these feelings based on this emotion, based off of this effervescency feeling of what I'm going up against in terms of the world, in terms of society, in terms of all that kind of thing like that. And so, in order not to be reactive, but to be responding to things as opposed to just reacting emotionally, like real and raw emotions, that kind of thing. And knowing how to, feel our emotions, like emotional intelligence, is also feeling our emotions. It is also feeling our emotions, leaning into them. And the only way that we can understand our own emotions is if we lean in and we really, really feel those, deeply and profoundly. So it is required of us to, lean into whatever emotions that we're feeling, whatever emotions that we need to face in our lives. So having emotional intelligence in this way is really, really huge when it comes to all this kind of thing. And so this can also come down to, very, very easily, is feeling abundance. Feeling, like, just feeling gratitude. Feeling joy. Feeling happiness. Feeling satisfaction. Feeling contentment with our lives. Feeling all things good. Feeling abundant. Feeling really, really abundant. Emotionally, like water signs can teach us that abundance is an inner thing. We feel abundance in terms of an emotional state, in terms of our emotions. Like we naturally lean in and we feel at home with ourselves when it comes to feeling like, do we feel abundant in our own skin? That's what this can also come down to. And feeling abundant internally as opposed to just externally and materially. So, looks more at, emotional abundance as opposed to, material abundance and all that kind of thing, with what that has to offer to us in that way. So with this placement, there's an emotional hope. There's an emotional sense of hopefulness. And the thing about Jupiter and Cancer is that they completely rely on their intuition to go through life. They rely on their instincts, they rely on what feels right, they rely on that internal guidance system that just gives you a vibe, gives you a feeling. And it's like, you can't make, you can't make sense in the logical mind of what these feelings are. You can't think through them, you just can't, explain them. They're just feelings that just feel like the direction to go in, and we feel them, and it just feels, right. We go in that direction. We trust our inner guidance, and we just go there. I mean, it's very, very simple. Very, very simple. So, intuition really, really simplifies the workings of the mind and the logic and, all that kind of thing. With always having to think through things, with always having to, reason through things. Well, how about we just rely on what feels right, and we go in that direction, and it solves all of our problems. And if we go with what feels right, it is going to be the right direction. It is going to be the right, direction to go in if we, trust that in a way. So, they want to create prosperity for themselves. They want to create that. And for others, they want to create, it's for themselves and others. Cancer is very, very discerning about who it nurtures and who it cares for, because it's about your family or immediate environment. And one of the things about Cancer is that anyone who is not worth their emotional energy, they're just not going to worry about. They want, they want to feel like Cancer wants to feel like you are a part of their family, like you are family to them. Like Cancer nurtures others and cares for others and relates to others in a way that you would a family member. That a family member would relate to somebody else. So that's huge when it comes to Cancer. And through and they nurture others through caring and protection. They grow through caring for others. That's really, at their core. And, they do this, when, when, you're a very, very, when you have a lot of emotional wisdom. You can talk about feelings. You can talk about the significance of feelings, the profound aspects of feelings very, very easily. Teaching others about, giving wisdom about the emotions of sadness, about the emotions of joy, about the emotions of guilt and depression, and all of that. So then, when your, emotional regulation is appreciated, like they want their, their wisdom with feelings to be appreciated, to be seen, and, for others to see the full worth of that. So, they grow, how they grow and take advantage of opportunities. Jupiter is how you grow and how you gain luck in this life. They grow through going out and making things happen in their lives. Now I should say before I even go on, Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, so it's very, very benefic, and I'm going to get into some reasons why later on here of why that is the case. But anyway, you grow through going out and making things happen in the world. This is really how you grow as a soul being level, is, growing in this kind of way. Maybe making things happen in your home life or out in the world. Like whatever you do, be it at home or out in the world, whatever job you get in, whatever, whatever change you make to your house and family, you do it for your family. You do it for the ones that you love, and you want to provide emotional care and nurturing security for them. You want to bring comfort to your loved ones. Cancer is all about family and loved ones. Now, you create lasting security. Security that is going to last, not security that's just going to, you want emotional stability. Like Taurus about like the material resources and material stability and all that kind of thing. Well, Cancer is emotional. Cancer is more emotional. They want to create security that lasts a long time. That's, because Cancer wants things to be very, very safe and secure, and they don't want a lot of change, a lot of disruption, a lot of chaos and turmoil and destruction and unsteady, conflict or rapid change. Like, it can be very, very difficult for this placement or somebody with dominant Cancer energy to move, to move houses, to move from one house to another house. This is what they can really, struggle with when it comes to, when it comes to, what they are doing. With with creating this security for them in this kind of way. So, what they really want is, where they want to understand others' needs. Like they have a very, very emotional, intuitive understanding of others' needs. What others need on an emotional level, and they want to care for that. They really, really want to care. And in order for your growth. In order for you to, this is a fact, okay? This is what they believe. In order for you to grow in a certain environment, you need an environment that's supportive and caring and nurturing to you. You need an environment that's going to help you step into your potential, help you to, in a loving, caring, and gentle way, in a kind way, to help you, to become, to become a better version of yourself, to really, really grow. Needing this environment is really, really huge. And that's what's necessary here. Now, you grow through providing emotionally secure, nurturing environments for others. Like you genuinely want to create a safe haven for others, a sanctuary for others. Cancer is all about a sanctuary. It's a sanctuary creator, that safe haven, nice place where everybody feels loved and cared for, and their value is seen and understood. Cancer wants everyone to feel understood and seen. That's what Cancer genuinely wants. And if it's not there, they want to do everything that they can to create that. So, you grow through this kind of thing very, very easily. So, you want everyone to feel emotionally secure. Cancer at best wants everybody to really feel their feelings, because they have actually felt their feelings before, and they have moved through the feelings and how, kind of difficult and how heavy and how powerful the emotions are. But at best, Cancer has moved through these feelings, accepted these feelings, ride the waves of emotion that come to them, and wants everyone to feel, the evolved Cancer wants everybody, wants to help people to become secure about their emotions and to become secure about feeling and leading into these emotions. So, you grow through, developing strong family connections. This is the real truth. Like, Cancer is about family and making the most of it. And and all that you want on a genuine, heartfelt, emotional level is to care for others, to love others for who they are, and make a huge difference in others' lives. The message here with Jupiter and Cancer is to just trust your intuition. Trust your intuition. Trust the inner part of you. Trust your gut. Know what feels right, and go in that direction. As I said before, take action on that. Jupiter in Cancer is very, very intuitive. It doesn't operate on the complications of logic. It's very, very intuitive based. At best, it can. This placement is all about understanding. Really, really tapping into intuition, asking, What does this person need emotionally? Do they need more food? Do they need to help them talk through their sorrow, what they're experiencing? Do they need help with getting over a relationship issue or breakup? And, whatever the issue is, whatever their emotional needs are, caring, loving, all that kind of thing, you want to be there for them. And you want to be there, have others see you, and others understand you. Okay, let's rephrase it this way. So you want to make others feel seen, as I said before, and you want to sit with them and hold space for their emotions and move them into a more peaceful, kinder, more compassionate, loving place with them. So, your emotional wisdom that you have to offer is really, really profound, and trusting your instincts. But you could argue there's a difference between instincts and intuition. Well, I'm going to say there's a difference from impulses and intuition. Okay? That's what I'm going to say. That's what I'm going to say. When it comes to your intuition, take a breath. And just know immediately what feels right and then go in that direction. Don't overthink it. Just trust it and just go with something. Don't make it complicated and just go with it. It will be right. Don't overthink intuition. Don't make it more complicated than it needs to be, which is not complicated. So, now, following your intuitive feelings, in my intuition, what do others truly need? And tending to that, and really giving them that. And, attuning to their, to their emotional needs very, very easily. And I want to say, in the kindest way, catering to that. Catering doesn't have to be a bad thing, depends upon how you use it. I refer to catering as a negative. When I say I'm not catering to followers, I'm not giving the viewers what they want. Well, it's a creative thing and I can do what I want on my own channel, but that isn't to say that catering, just rule it out completely for people in your life, to care for them, to give them what they need, to give them what they want. Your mother gives a child what they want. A restaurant catering to their customers with their needs, if they're a vegetarian or pescatarian. It all depends on the context of how and where you're using it. If it's in a creative context where you're giving a creative energy, then don't cater. But if it is about nurturing and caring, and you're with a human and you're taking care of them, well, then it's different. So it's all relative. It's not just one thing and then just completely that thing. So they rely on their intuition most of the time. That's what sets Jupiter and Cancer apart. Is they're so intuitive. They're so deeply intuitive, and you do not give in to anyone telling you, oh, you're wrong. That's just a feeling. That doesn't make sense. Listen to what I'm saying and do all this. Oh, you must do this. You should do this. You should do that. Well, if it doesn't feel right, the Jupiter and Cancer person is going to say to the friends who are like, come on, let's go to this party, come on, let's, go, it'll be fun and whatever. Well, it doesn't feel right, and so I'm not going to go there because it doesn't feel safe. I don't feel secure. I don't feel like I have the safety net provided to me. I don't feel like my parachute is going to withstand the time and the amount of, air or whatever, whatever you need for a parachute. It's gonna, it's gonna, it's gonna break. So if they feel that, they're not gonna go along with what others want. I love this about you guys who have Jupiter and Cancer, because you will follow your intuition fully and wholeheartedly. Wow. If only all of us were like that, if only we all did that, then it would be great. This world would be a beautiful place if we just followed our heart, followed what felt right, as opposed to this logical, and sometimes it feels, well, here's the thing. If it feels intuitively right to follow what is logical, then that's, one thing. If it feels intuitively right to defy logic, then yeah. So, logic doesn't have to be a bad thing. The ego doesn't have to be a bad thing, but the intuition, the soul has to lead the way. It has to be more dominant and has to stand out and has to, be the leader of the band. Otherwise, what kind of world are we living in if the intuition and the soul is not the, it's not the one leading everything. Like, we need to live in a world where people are doing what is authentic to them, what is true for them, what is kind and what is loving, and what feels right. This is the world that we need to live in. This is the world that we need to create. So, they don't give in to all these things. They live from their intuition. And that's their truth. That's the very, very core of their being. That's their intuition. Now, the thing about Jupiter and Cancer, it has absolute faith in you. It believes in you 100% because it cares so much. It has such tender, loving energy. It wants to nurture you. It wants to help you because it sees the potential in you, because it sees what you could become, because it sees how great and how extraordinary and how beautiful of a person you are inside and out. It sees that, and it appreciates that. Those with this placement really, really appreciate others for what they have, just for being who they are, really. So, it really, believes in that and believes in so many things because of this care. They really believe in whoever they teach or nurture. They really, really, believe in this. Not because of what they have going on the outside, not because of their looks, not because of their achievements, not because of their status, their title, their position in society, their economic status, social status, political status. Like, Jupiter in Cancer doesn't care about any of that. They care about who you are as a soul being, as an emotional being, as just who you are authentically. Not based off of any egoic title, role that we define or to be in society. Like Jupiter in Cancer doesn't care about that, and I love this about Jupiter in Cancer. This is amazing. Like not caring what your external achievements are, But from who they are on the inside. Jupiter in Cancer really cares for who you are, um, who you are on the inside. Jupiter believes in others, as I said, because it genuinely cares about others. Let's talk about nurturing. You have to do it on a daily basis. You have to consistently show up and put in all the love and care and effort and time for it to nurture. It takes conscious effort and conscious attention to be able to nurture something. It takes you putting in the work and being consistent every day to go back and nurture, because it isn't just gonna you can help it along for it to help itself. Plant grows, it isn't just gonna grow by itself. The plant has to be planted, it has to get the right amount of sunlight, the right amount of water intake, and all of that. Like a child isn't just gonna grow themselves up. The parent has to be the one to sort of help them along, and for them to become like guiding them, as opposed to helicoptering or forcing their hand through it. But but a good evolved Cancer guides, like a good Cancer mother, really good mother, guides the child to follow their soul, to guide them to become a beautiful soul being, beautiful light being, and being of love that they are, and for them to grow into a very, very, a more mature, emotionally wise version of like the mother guides them. The parent guides the child, and this is what parents should be doing: is guiding the children. So, they water this plant. They water this thing, and then feeding it consistently. Like, that's what it takes to nurture it. And this could be an aspiration, a dream that you have, a plan that you have, a goal that you have, a person or an idea. Putting your all into it, not doing it in a half-assed way. Putting all of your energy and your love and your heart, and really doing it, pouring yourself into it, and being genuine about it, being sincere about it, doing it from a heart-centered place. Because if you're following your logic and your ego, it's not going to be real and genuine. It's going to be a protocol. Just doing something because of the rules, and because going through the motions, like, this is logically right, and we're robots going around like, oh my gosh, I'm so against protocol. Oh my gosh. Do it because it feels right. Do it because it feels emotionally right, not because it's like, it's protocol. I have to do this. I have to conform this. It's protocol. Oh, good grief. We have to let go of that. We have got to let go of that. Like, that's not, like, anything inauthentic has to go away. Like, so, to make space for what is authentic. So, requiring that kind of thing. And so, Jupiter in Cancer really has a lot of compassion. A lot of compassion, a lot of love. Understanding you, even if you're imperfect. Saying that, you're not broken. You're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. You're perfect as you are, and I'm loving you exactly as you are. You are enough. You are enough. So they nurture what is, what is, they accept, they have acceptance and serenity for an understanding for the imperfect parts of you, and they see the beauty of that, and then they recognize it, and then they honor those parts of you by spending time with you, and really appreciating and seeing the beauty and in the the positive side of those parts. So now Cancer, shows up daily, and understands what it loves. It understands, what it loves on a deep emotional level. It just knows what it loves deeply, and it deeply loves it. When they nurture something, they nurture something with their whole heart. They nurture something. They nurture with their whole heart. They put their all into it. They put the most amount of effort into it that they can. Jupiter and Cancer people want safety and security. They don't want to go too far outside of their comfort zones. They want to stay in that comfort zone. They want to stay in, what feels safe to them, what feels, secure with them. Because they don't want change, they don't want to get hurt, they don't want to get attacked, and so they want to keep themselves emotionally. They want to feel, Cancer wants to feel safe. Cancer needs to feel safe in this life, and anything that's going to cause them not to feel that, they're going to disregard it. They're not going to feed it and give it energy, and they're not going to act on it. So they need emotional security and safety, like we need air to breathe, water to drink. Now let's talk about beliefs, because Jupiter is about belief. Jupiter in Cancer has an emotional side to beliefs, where, all beliefs have, emotion in them. And then some just don't see the actual emotions and feelings in those beliefs. So they don't see what, make up the belief and the emotions that went into it. And don't have the detachment to really see that. Like, it takes, it's like, so some are just so, like, the heart and their soul is completely connected to that belief that it's just a part of them. They integrate it so in a way where they can't separate out the thinking from the emotion, and they don't have the detachment to see, okay, these are the feelings that make up this belief. Like, they don't see that. Where the emotions are an intrinsic and essential part of that belief. It comes so naturally, and the emotions cannot be seen. Jupiter in Cancer believes in beliefs. Okay, Jupiter in Cancer believes certain things because it feels right. Beliefs come from feelings, not thought, not intellect, they're not philosophical, they're not up in the mind. They are, they are emotional. Beliefs are emotional. Like, we form beliefs because out of, emotion. Is it really, some of us, I don't want to assume that all of us do, but Jupiter in Cancer believes that we form our beliefs on our feelings about things. And this is true. It isn't just a mind thing. It isn't just a head thing. It isn't just a, thought. It is also feeling. We believe things, from a feeling place, from feeling empathy, from feeling compassion, from wanting to change the world, from wanting to make the world a better place, make the world a more loving, beautiful place. So, Jupiter in Cancer is very, very powerful. Very, very potent. And power doesn't have to be a negative. It can be used for good. We can use our power for good or bad. It's really your choice. Or we can empower someone to be great, to be their best, most beautiful selves, to be exactly who they are, to be authentically who they are, because we believe in them. Like we empower somebody to be, so great, because we see the beauty in them, because we see the potential in them, because we believe in them. So, you can be nurturing and powerful at the same time, or you can be powerful. You can, you can use your power in nurturing ways. You can be powerful in a nurturing way, like Cancer. Could be a very, very great, leader present, because it has loving, nurturing instincts, or it cares for you like your family, it cares for you like, their best friend, with such emotional care, and it follows its intuition, and it's perfect for a president or, a leader. And, Capricorn North nodes come from Cancer South nodes, and they are great at leading people because of their nurturing and loving attributes. So, they are strong, strong and powerful. It's very, very strong and powerful, but in a loving and nurturing way, not in a, dominating, selfish way. And, I want to clarify, like, self-love and having power and selfish are completely different things. Selfish comes from, I don't feel secure in myself. I don't feel loved. I don't feel worthy. It's all from my ego, so I'm being very, very impulsive. And I'm not, doing it from a loving, soul-centered place. I'm doing it from, an ego place. I'm just taking. Like, let's separate out. Like, self-love is not selfish. Okay? Self-love is... Those are very, very, very different things. Okay? Very different things. You are meant to love yourself. You're out, like, everybody is meant to love themselves for who they are. So, nurturing yourself is really, really huge. Caring for yourself and helping you to grow. Nurturing. So, what I want to talk about here is some kind of traps that we can get caught in with this. Is, you can care so much for others. You can care so much for everybody else. Being a mom, being a caretaker, being a nurturer to everybody else, that you forget to fill up your own cup. You forget to care for yourself. You forget, like, self-care is so important. You must put yourself first and care for yourself so that you can give to others with openness, with love, with energy, with feeling at peace with yourself, with feeling at a good, calm state to be able to do that. We cannot give from an empty well. So nurturing yourself is vital. It is so vital. Not just catering to just everybody's emotional needs when you didn't take care of yourself. That's, what I want to say. Also, not coddling others, not being overly protective or emotionally calculating, but nurturing. There's a difference between nurturing and coddling. There's a difference between nurturing and being so protective that you hold the person back and you constrain them because you love them so much. It's like typical. A mother that is afraid to let their children be independent and live their own lives because they want to keep them safe, and it becomes about them and not about the child. Not about the person that they are nurturing. So you really, really have to separate that out. You really, really have to separate these two things out very, very well. So, not doing this, not, nurturing them to be independent, nurturing for them to be self-sufficient and be their individual self. Like, that's what we are meant to do, is nurture them and guide them to, step into that. So, not to be, so dependent on you that, they are sacrifice them just being true to themselves and true to what their intuition is leading them in that direction. So, not protecting others in a way that prevents their growth. It's very, very, very important with this placement. So this is a trap that you can fall into, and I don't want, if you have Jupiter in Cancer, I don't want you to fall into this trap. I really, really don't want you to fall in this trap. I want you to be loving and nurturing, yet not so attached to it needing to be a certain way, to the child needing to be a certain way, to caring and loving. You have to understand, like, you are separate from the child. The child is a separate being with their own soul contracts, with their own intuition calling, with their own desires, passions, goals, whatever. And it's about honoring that and nurturing that. So, yeah. So, it's about, really being willing to move into also not being afraid to take risks. Really not being afraid to take risks, because you can stay in a comfort zone, and that can kind of hold you. I notice where this holds you back from taking risks and expanding and growing and taking advantage of the opportunities that are presented for you to care and love others and show your Cancerian traits. So that's also very important, to be willing to move into uncertainty. Is really, really huge. Being okay with uncertainty. So, and then putting up healthy boundaries, knowing where you end and others begin. Because Cancer can really, really struggle with this, because they just want to care, and they just, want to feel everyone's emotions, and they take on others' emotional troubles rather than they, it affects them and it lowers their vibration, and they feel drowned out by that. And so it's very important for them to take care of themselves and put up emotional boundaries, and not let others' emotions get the better of them. So, finally, Jupiter in Cancer truly wears its heart in its sleeve and lets out any emotion that it feels openly. It will let out its emotions. It will announce very, very proudly what it's feeling, because Jupiter is, extroverted and positive, and so, they will, express their emotions, and they, the thing with Cancer is not being ashamed of their emotions, but allowing themselves, accepting these emotions in order to express these emotions. expressing the emotions that that you're feeling. This is what this is what this is all about, is accepting the emotions and allowing yourself to feel these feelings. And this is how they can be very, very powerful in very profound and loving emotional ways that are absolutely true for them in their intuition and in their soul. So thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Cosmic Sky Podcast. This is really all that I have on Jupiter and Cancer. So, there you have it. I hope that you found value out of this. And I want you to tune in to tomorrow's episode, where I'll be talking about a very, very different flavor of Jupiter, and that will be Jupiter in the sign of Aries, and how that will play out, which is a very, very different, more extroverted energy, and I want to really, really discuss that placement in depth. And tomorrow's podcast episode, which is Wednesday, let me think, May 6th. And today is the day of Mercury square Pluto. So if you have not seen your Mercury square Pluto collective horoscope and your horoscope for 12 signs, it is in this podcast for you to go back and see. I do want to do video horoscopes on Pluto retrograde sometime, because it's going, I believe it's going retrograde this week. It is going retrograde this week, and I want to really, really discuss that, because it's going to be retrograde for a long time, and I want to go into that. So when I get time, maybe next week or something like that, I will get around to doing those videos. But anyway, I really, really do it one day after the other. So I always do the collective, and then the day after I always do the 12 signs. I don't do just a collective reading without the the collective transit horoscope without the 12 sign things. I always do both. So anyway, that's all I have in this episode. I will see you next time. Until then, take very, very good care. Okay, I'm gonna repeat what somebody that I used to follow said at the very, very end of her videos. This is what she said: take very, very good care of the beautiful and precious being that you are, and so will I. Blessed be. Bye for now.